本日よりフィンチ家の奇妙な屋敷で起きたこと、こちらやっていきたいと思います。アドベンチャーゲームなんですけど PS4 で出ていた時からちょっと気になっていたのが PS5 版も出てたんでやっていこうかなっていう感じなんだけども、これを操作が何ボタンだ？ R でもう一回 R を押すとダメだな。何ボタンだ？L でズーム？ R2 でもない。L2 もズームだ。スティック。
A lot of this isn't going to make sense to you, and I'm sorry about that.
早い早い。
I'm just going to start at the beginning with the house.
とりあえず事の始まり、つまり家のことから。
Someone had put up a chain link fence, but it looked like I wasn't the first person to hop it.
結構字幕早めに消えてしまうね。
My brother Milton disappeared when I was 4. It was like the house just swallowed him up.
兄が4歳の時に消えた。へえ。まあ一応電線が張ってるから電気は通ってると思うが、なんだあの家。あれは海沿いでは無理じゃねえか。家の半分は立ち入りが許されていなかった？海沿いであの作りはかなり無理があると思うんだけど。基本 R なんだな。基本 R で、あとはスティックだ。支給開封7年前の請求。へえ。新聞も3日でもう満帆だ。3日？あっちって夕刊とかあんのかな？3日分も入らなさそうだな、そうすると。ルイス兄さん。さっき別のお兄さんがいたけど、それとはまた別のお兄さん。分けられた。どっかに帰れる？声が聞こえるだけ？うわぁ。滑りやすそうだから慎重に進みたいね。遺言と一緒に母さんは鍵を残した。謎を解くために私が戻ってくると思ったのかもしれない。てか、お兄さん一人失踪、一人亡くなってる、お母さんも亡くなってる。だいぶだね。こっちと、こっち、どっち？いけるな。進めるんだ。 結構いける。なんか落ちてるよ。あれ。はまった。動けない。早速はまった。動けない。動けない。さてと、気を取り直していこうか。もう慣れたもんですよ。間違えたわ、いきなり。はい。あそこ行けるくせに途中でハマってしまうっていうのはちょっとあれだな。今後もそういうのがあるってこと？走れない。
I lived here until I was 11, but I wasn't allowed inside half the rooms.
はい。こういうのやっていかなきゃいけないのかな？
Inside the mailbox were bills from 7 years ago, marked urgent, open immediately. I hadn't been back since my brother Lewis's funeral.
OK。下にむやみに行かない方がいいか。でもなんか落ちてたんだよね。紙みたいなの浮かんでたんだけど。
My mother left me a key, but didn't tell me what it unlocked. Maybe she thought I'd know. Or she thought the mystery would be enough to bring me back.
ちゃんと道行くか。でもあそこも道っぽかったけどね。林の中入っちゃったけど。へえ。
No one had driven this way in a long time, but I saw a few hoof prints.
ひずめの跡。あ、動物か。ひずめの跡。まあ、ここでも石だから、あんまりひずめの跡がつく感じでもないけど。OK？ お、鹿じゃん。言ってるそばからいたよ。
The truth is, even after I inherited the house, I never thought I'd come back to it.
相続したんだ。
But now I had questions about my family that only the house knew the answers to.
はあ、おー、これ。変な家。
The house was exactly like I remembered it, the way I'd been dreaming about it.
夢で見た。開けられない。おー。おー。ん？へえ、なんであんなものがあるの？いろいろ子供たちが喜ぶようなものが作られてたってことかな。
As a child, the house made me uncomfortable in a way I couldn't put into words. Now, as a 17-year-old,
まあ、そう
I knew
ね。
exactly what those words were.
17歳なの、今。落ち着かなくさせたってのはなんとなくわかる気もするよ。 なんでこっから入るんだよ。
Crawling through the doggy door used to be a lot easier when I was 11.
うん。
The power had been turned off the night we left.
ああ、止められてる。電線は通ってるけど。へえ。プールとかもいろいろあるじゃん。おー、これもダメか。釣り竿。
For the first time in years, I felt like I was home.
おー。
But instead of a family, there were just memories of one.
へえ。エディ。エディス。エディ。レビス。ダウン。これ本当の名前今の。
Like how only one restaurant would deliver to our house, so we had Chinese a lot.
ああ、中華の出前ね。結構海外では映画とかでよく出てくるイメージだわ。
Or how after Louis started working at the cannery, we all got sick of eating salmon. Except our cat, Molly.
なるほど。なんか消費期限間近なものとかもらって帰ってくるって感じなのかな。
The table was still a
あ、
wreck
エ
from
デ
the
ィって
night
書
we
いてある
left.
からあれが本名か。
It was like a bomb had gone off, killing everyone but sparing the furniture.
へえ。
My mom was the only one of us who could imagine Great Grandma Edie living in a nursing home.
おばあちゃんが老人ホーム。どうなんだろう。おばあちゃんはまだ生きてんのかな。
Nothing in the house looked abnormal. There was just too much of it, like a smile with too many teeth.
家が多すぎる？部屋が多すぎるってことじゃなくて。
Even the fireplace had a story. Edie told me the bricks came from the original house, after it sank.
へえ。おお。風の音がするね。ん？あ、回せる。オルゴールか。
Great Grandpa Sven built a music box for Barbara,
ひいお
along
じい
with
ちゃ
the rest of
ん。
the house.
バーバラはおばあちゃん？バーバラ・フィンチ。おー、すげえ、標本だ。こっちは地下。
Mom always told me to stay out of the basement, so I wasn't too surprised when the key didn't fit.
ああ、地下行けない。どっかに鍵があるんだな。で、さっきんとこか。さてさて。
My mom wasn't much of an optimist, but she never stopped believing that my brother Milton was alive.
ああ、お兄さんね。これ、開かない？開けなくていいの？
A lot of things got left behind in the whirlwind of that last night.
あの夜の混乱っていうのが何があったんだろうな。ここはすごい厳重に締められてんな。すんごいね。密閉されてんじゃん。スイッチはあれは届かない。おばあちゃん用のだ。
After Milton disappeared, Mom sealed up all the bedrooms.
寝室
Then
をす
Edie
べて封
retaliated
印。
and drilled peepholes.
覗き穴を開けた。ちょっと待って。
Whenever people ask me about my family, the first thing they always want to know about is Barbara.
バーバラの話。バーバラがおばあちゃん。お、なんか線が続いてんな。ちょっと待って、でも上に行くよりも。お、
Edie's father Odin built the original
イーデ
house.
ィの父オーディン。へえ。イーディはおじいちゃん、お父さん。わあ、そっか、寝室は封印されたって言ってたな。
My grandpa Sam spent 7 years sharing a room with his dead brother.
死んだ兄弟のカルビン。カルビン、またいろいろ出てくんで。へえ。でもなんか、縄？これは。縄が貼ってあるよ。おー。グレゴリー。
As a kid, I just assumed every house had peepholes and sealed rooms
ト
you
イ
weren't
レ、
allowed
バス
inside
ルーム
of.
じゃん。へえ。え？グレゴリー、カルビン、11？ 1。これ兄弟？これはスベン・ホフスタットとエディ。
The last time I was in Edith Sr.'s room, I was 10 and she was painting my portrait.
はあ。絵を描くのが趣味だったのかな、それとも職業だったのかな。本もいっぱいあるね。へえ。そこもじゃあ覗いてみるか。バーバラ。
Barbara was a child star for 2 years, until America grew out of it.
子役。なるほどね。あ、で、フィルムがあったり。へえ。すごい家だな。こっち続いてるけど、まずはこっち。おお。これはモリー。
Molly always seemed like a girl I could imagine being friends with, if she hadn't died in
みんな死ん
1947.
でんな。はあ。
I spent a lot of time playing in Great Uncle Walter's
ウォ
room.
ルター大お
I
じ
think
さ
my
ん。
mom sometimes regretted not sealing it up.
なんか引きずった跡があるじゃん。お、
Lewis told me there were secret passages, but I never believed
秘
him.
密の通路。開くんかい。
Turns out, my mom was really good at keeping secrets.
おー。
Now it was time to find out what my mom had been afraid of.
行ってみるか。子供部
From the
屋
paintings on the wall, it was clear my brother Milton had been here before me.
ミルトン、失踪したお兄さん。へえ。
Reading this, maybe it sounds like I had a plan.
計画があった。
But I had no idea what was behind that door. Just like I had no idea where all this was gonna lead. I grew up looking at Molly's room through the peephole. Being inside for the first
モリーの
time,
部屋と
I
つ
felt
なが
like
っ
I'd
てん
stepped
のか。
behind a painting. Molly's gerbil had a tiny bedroom with its own even tinier gerbil cage.
あ、この中でスナネズミを飼ってたんだ。へえ。これはいけないわ。あー、地図か。家の中の。
I got the sense Edie had spent a lot of time here before my mom sealed the doors.
December 13th, 1947. Dear Diary, I'll be gone soon, but I wanted to tell somebody about what's gonna happen. It started when Mom sent me to bed without dinner. I woke up and I was starving, so I looked around for something to eat.
食べ物を探しに行った。あ、これ今、森支店ってことか。へえ。
My Halloween candy was all gone.
ハロウィンのキャンディー。ネズミの餌は
The
ダメだ
gerbil
ろ
food
う。
was dry, but I didn't mind it.
食ったんかい。こっちはトイレッツ。
I kept eating and eating.
それは歯磨き粉。ウォーウォーウォーウォー。なんか手とかすんげえ。何その発疹みたいなの。ほくろが多いタイプ？これ
I
は
ate
さ
a
す
lot
が
of
に。
things that night.
お、ヒイラギの実食えんの？
Then I heard chirping outside my window.
窓の外で鳥の声
It
が
was
し
a
た。
barn swallow going back to her nest.
ツバメ。
I reached out for her.
お。まあ、子供が落ちないようにってことかな。
I was a cat.
おうおうおう。違う。どうやったらいいの？おお。
I tried to be quiet, but the bird was really scared.
おお。
Mom and Dad didn't even look at me.
あ、そう。どうする？ おう。はいはいはい。はい。はい。すぐあるよ。戻れないわ。
I jumped and I almost got her.
ほー。
I could tell she was getting really tired.
疲れ始めていった。
Now I was up in the big tree. I promised Dad I wouldn't climb it anymore. All I cared about was eating that mama bird. I gobbled her up,
わお。
and suddenly I was an owl. First,
今度
all
は
I heard was
鳥。
then I heard little teeth nibbling in the grass.
葉っぱをかじる音。葉っぱをかじる。
Rabbits.
おいたいたいた。取った。
I imagined his face looking up and seeing mine through my talons. I swallowed him up, and I didn't chew one bit. Then I flew off to find something bigger.
もっと大きいの。
A mama rabbit.
お母さんのウサギ。どうだ。いたいたいたいた。OK。
She was almost too big to carry. I started choking, but I couldn't stop eating. And suddenly, I was a shark.
サメ？ What? What? なんでサメになってんの？
I rolled off a cliff and into the ocean.
はい。
Now, I was hungrier than ever. I wanted fat, juicy seals.
むずい。
I tore off her flipper, and it tasted really good. I grabbed on tight.
OK。
But I was so hungry, I jumped out of the water.
え？
When I opened my eyes, everything had changed.
なになにこれ？え？うわ、難しい。
Now I was a monster, and I smelled people everywhere.
はい。
I was big, but I moved real quiet.
いける？いけないの？ん？おお。
I wanted to stop, but also I didn't.
どこに人がいんの？おお。いけない。はい。
After the last passenger, I was
全部
still
食べ終わ
hungry.
った。
And across the water, I smelled something new. Something I had to have, so I swam towards it.
あはん。おお。
I slithered onto the sand, and the good smell went into an old pipe.
パイプの中。おお。トイレッツ。
I got closer and closer.
マオリー。
All my stomach started growling. And suddenly, I was me again. I held my breath for a long time, but I couldn't hear anything. I think it's waiting for me to fall asleep. But it's not going to wait much longer. It needs to feed, and we both know
腹ペコ。
I will be delicious.
私は本当に美味しい。はあ。
I'm not sure if I believed all of that, but I'm sure Edie would have.
おー、すごいね。家系図が長い。開かねえわ。
I can't describe it, but I felt like some part of Molly was still here.
モリーの一部がいる気がした。どういうこと？なんか触れる？お、猫。
This will be obvious later, but my mom never told me any of these stories. Edie would have, but Mom didn't like bringing up the past. Though, when we adopted a stray kitten, She was the one who named it Molly.
へえ。
I spent a lot of time in Great-Grandma Edie's room.
ひいおばあちゃんか、イーディは。酸素吸入とかしないとダメだったんだもん。
We got along and it was a good place to hide from my mom.
へえ。
Even in her 90s. Sometimes Edie seemed a lot younger than my mother.
へえ。
Louis died a week before we left, but Edie had already started to memorialize him.
うーん。
Her room was like a museum. For 500 years, the Finches have been famous throughout Norway for their fortune and misfortune.
金はべらぼうにあったんだ。
Odin Finch buries the latest victims of the family curse, his wife Ingeborg and their newborn son, Johann.
呪い？
On January 7th, 1937, he set sail with his family and his house, hoping to leave the curse behind.
家そのまま持ってったの？すげえ。
But 40-foot waves off the
Oh
coast of
my
Washington
gosh.
send the house and Odin to the bottom of the sea. Odin's daughter Edie, with husband Sven and baby Molly, step ashore on their new home,
オーカス
Orcas
島。
Island. Odin Finch is the first to be buried in the new family cemetery.
へえ。
His daughter Edie is already dreaming of a new Finch house. Whatever's wrong with this family, it goes back a long ways.
なるほどね。これとここはどうなってんだろう。書き足されてるけどこっち書き足されてねえな。ここは開かねえのか。よし。
When Edie told people Sven was killed by a dragon, she could also have said he was building a dragon-shaped slide that collapsed. She could have, but she didn't.
ああ、あの沼にあんのはドラゴンなんだ。ああ、ここか。1歳で亡くなった。
The only trace Grandpa Sam's first wife Kay left on the house was the pink bathroom. It was a pretty big trace.
Hmm. 鍵付き。
There's a secret in this
お
bathroom.
お。
It's in the last place you would look. It isn't in the cupboard. It's hidden in this book.
おお。わお。写真の現像室。
Sven gave Sam an old camera he'd refurbished. He never put it down.
へえ。おお。お、つながってる。で、あそこに。へえ。これ何のロープ？こっから入るなってこと？ へえ。あ、ここからへえ。
I knew Grandpa Sam had a twin.
双子の兄弟。
And that he never talked about him.
そうだね。これはどんどん続いてんね。電気のコード。
I guess my grandpa didn't like history any more than my mom did.
おお、よく入れたね。
How I Want to Remember My Brother by Sam Finch. The thing I remember is that when he made up his mind, that was it.
おお。骨折
My
してん
brother
じ
said
ゃ
he'd
ん。
die before he ate another mushroom. And he did.
これって意味ある？意味なさそうだな。あ、両方でやんなきゃ意味ないのか。
At Barbara's funeral, we swore we'd never be afraid again. And he wasn't. I think
バーバラの
Calvin
葬儀。
always wanted to fly.
飛びたがっていた。
Sam, Calvin, dinner's ready.
オッケー。
But that day, he finally made up his mind to do it.
飛ぶと。
I told him going around was impossible.
お
Maybe if I
い。
hadn't said that.
えい。
Calvin, I'm not gonna tell you again.
え
Maybe
い。
if the wind hadn't picked up. Then maybe he'd still be here. But I doubt it. I think he'd already made up his mind.
えい。
That's what I want to remember about my brother.
おい。おい。おい。
The day he made up his mind to fly. And he did.
わお。俺もね、昔、ちっちゃい頃、小学生の低学年ですね。
When I was younger, I remember trying to do
友
the
達と
exact
競
same
っ
thing.
て、ブランコ回転しようってのやりましたね。あれね、回転できないんだよね、絶対。なんだけどやってましたね。で、ほぼ真上まで行ってそのまま直下したっていうね。ほぼ真上まで行ったらもう直下するしかないんですよね、あれね。子供はわかんないんで、そのままやって直下しましたね。はい。OK。閉じよ
After the funeral,
う。そんな
Edie
記
ripped
憶
off
があり
Calvin's
ます
half
ね
of the。room.
大昔ですけど。
Mom said Grandpa Sam enlisted at 18 and never set foot in the room again.
あ、そう。軍隊に行って。お。すげえ。おお。おお。レッツゴー。すごい家だな。
The passages were a pretty tight fit. They'd obviously been built for smaller hands and bellies.
開けとこうか。 おいしょい。
Growing up, I always thought of Barbara as a child star.
ほー。マイフレンドビッグフット。どんな映画だろう。俺、賞も取ってんじゃん。
I never thought about how hard it must have been for her afterwards.
子役スターなりの辛さ。
Of all the stories people wrote about Barbara's death, I'm surprised Edie saved this one.
バーバラ・フィンチの驚くべき結
Oh,
末。
Jack here with another ghastly tale inspired by America's most unfortunate family. I'm calling it The Surprise Ending of Barbara Finch.
おお。
As a child star, Barbara was famous for her scream.
ホームアローンみ
Now
たい
at
だな。
16, she was all washed up, a has-been. But in a lucky break, she'd been asked to perform her signature scream at a local convention for monster movie fans. It was just the boost her career needed.
はは。
Unfortunately, her scream hadn't aged well.
Getting better. I think you just need the right motivation.
Her biggest fan and current boyfriend, Rick, was about to demonstrate when...
Now that was a great scream.
It was Barbara's father, Sven. He'd slipped into a table saw and had to be rushed to the emergency room.
なんで
So Barbara got stuck babysitting her youngest brother, Walter.
テーブル層だから日曜大工で使うノコギリみたいなやつだね。
Okay, I'm hearing frustration, but I'm not hearing terror. What if I tried...
A gang of hoodlums in Halloween masks have been terrorizing Orcas Island tonight. Police are urging residents to...
That came from the basement.
You're right! Also, I loved your delivery on that. Why is your basement door locked?
Because my dad likes making puzzles and secret passages. There's a key hidden in the music box. The secret is to keep winding and winding until finally the key pops out.
Thanks, babe.
あ
I'll be back in a sec.
あ、あれもっと回せばよかったんか。
20 minutes later, Rick hadn't returned. So Barbara went to look for him, right on cue. She reached for the music box.
おう。おお、ここは
As she
こんな
found
感じで
the
できる。
key, she listened for Rick, but the house was silent.
へえ。あ、ここは面白いね。こんな感じでやってくんだ。
She found Rick's crutch and imagined the worst.
血痕があるよ。お、あそこに手の跡。開かない。
The gang's leader is the infamous Hookman killer, Dr. Carl
あ、
Hamill,
これがね、
who
テ
had
ーブ
killed
ル
him
カ
and
ッ
his
ト層。
family 10 years ago tonight.
こっちか。ん
The old fridge rattled
お
and
ー
grew still.
Oh dear!
誰ああ、驚かそうとして。
Rick?
Barb, relax. I was just trying to scare you to help you find your scream.
Well, I'm not scared, Rick. I'm furious.
Then
Uh-huh.
act furious. All I'm getting from you now is that you're hurt and confused and you're...
おう。
She threw him out, but she kept a little something to remember him by.
思い出の品
Have you seen my other crutch?
And she was still holding it when she fell asleep watching the late picture show. Hours later...
Barbara! Walter, what's going on up there? Ah!
え
Okay, I'm coming up, but if this is a trick, you're dead, Walter.
うーん。どっち？ウォルター？こっちじゃねえわ。こっちじゃねえわ。上か？おうおうおう。え、ウォルター・フィンチ。
Walter, are you there? Walter had vanished.
消えていた。
His radio was still on.
Orcas Island police describe the man as 6 feet tall, with a steel hook for a hand. Residents are urged to lock all doors and windows and notify the police of any suspicious activity.
ああ、それが来たかもってこと？
Barbara turned, saw the hook man, and was speechless. He was quite
Wow.
smashing.
えい。
He couldn't get enough of Barbara.
Okay, Barbara, there's gotta be another way out of here.
抜け道？違うな。見えねえ。くれ。抜け道。あったあったあった。これか。
That night, she played her part beautifully.
なるほど。
Molly's door hadn't been opened in years. The hinges groaned.
はい。
He wasn't moving, but she sensed the story might not be over yet.
あは。これで終わらない？行ったらいなくなってるってこと？ああ。
The hookman had vanished. She listened for his breathing, but all she heard was...
わお。
Someone at the door was dying to speak to young Barbara.
誰？
She heard whispering. It was coming
ひそひそ
from
声。
inside the house.
おお。え、複数人いるじゃん。
The monsters had come to surprise
あ
her.
あ、サプライズパーティー。落ちて大丈夫だった？
Dream come true. Then she saw what kind of monsters they were, and she realized what was about to happen. She was going to be famous. And with her final breath, Barbara Finch gave the performance of her life. I wasn't there.
モンスターでしたってこと？
I hear Barbara was magnificent. Poor girl. She had a taste for stardom. But unfortunately, so did her fans. Of course, the police blamed it all on poor Rick, who disappeared the same night. And little Walter, hiding under his bed.
ベッドの下に隠れてた。
They took it all pretty hard. But that's another story. As for Barbara, tucked inside the music box is all they ever found of her. Her ear.
へえ。
That's what I call a real ear.
不気味々な物語。なるほど。
Edie told me all Barbara wanted was to be remembered, as absurd as that comic was.
は
Maybe
あ。
what Edie saw was a happy ending.
なるほど。結構なんか不思議なことがいろいろ起きてんだね。まあどっからどこまでが作り話というか創作された話なのかはわかんないが。
I guess now I know why Mom didn't like me playing with the music box.
OK。ってことで行きましょうということか。OK。はい。お、取れた。OK。おー。
Mom said the basement was off limits, unless I wanted another tetanus shot.
いろいろと危険なものがあるからね。これ模型か。ドラゴン作るときの。
I saw Edie sneak down to the basement once, carrying packages.
こっちは何もなさそうだ。
I thought maybe she was hiding presents.
はい。
Turned out she was hiding a lot more than that.
すげえ。家どころじゃねえじゃ
I remember asking
ん。
Mom once about where Walter had gone.
てかまだ動いてんの？
She said after Barbara died, he got as far away as he could.
へ
If
え
there's。a pattern in all these stories,
すげえ。食料がいっぱいだ。シェルター。
I think it's that none of us has gotten very far.
模型も作ってたりするけど。
Goodbye, everyone. I can't believe I've been down here for 30 years.
おー。
On that first day, after the shaking started, I didn't think I'd survive a week.
地震？
But after a few days, I settled into a routine. That's what kept me sane. Having a schedule, living for today. I always expected to be dead tomorrow.
おー。
But if you wait long enough, you get used to anything. Even a monster on the other side of the door starts to feel normal. Almost friendly.
みんな手にポツポツあんだ。
And then one day, everything just...
すごい年数経ってるけど。
Whatever that thing was, it was gone. Maybe it got tired of waiting. Or maybe I just got tired of being afraid. It's been a week now, the longest in 30 years. I'm done waiting.
Uh-huh.
I have to leave while I still can.
うわ、さらに下がある。おー。
I know it's out there somewhere. Whatever killed Barbara.
バーバラを殺した何か。
And Calvin. Maybe this is all a mistake. But I need to stop living the same day, even if it kills me.
ああ、鉄道に出るんだ。
I'm ready for it. I'm going to appreciate all of it, especially the food. I don't mind if I only have a year left, or a month, or a single week. I'd be happy with one new day. I can already imagine the sun on my face.
わーお。電車にひかれた。
Walter died when I was 6. I can't believe my mom never told me he was down here.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure my mom was trying to protect me.
家から出ることになるけど、いいの?
Maybe she was afraid I'd end up like Walter.
Mm-hmm.
But if she never told me about an uncle under the house, I can only imagine what else she was hiding.
いや、もうここまでで相当わかんない
I
よ。
don't want to make the same mistakes she made.
これはゴミ捨て場か。うわ、匂いもすごそうだな。
Trying to bury something that's still alive.
Oh.
Now that there's only one of us left, or maybe two, I thought it was time I heard the stories for myself and found out what happened to everyone else. But now I'm worried the stories themselves might be the problem. Maybe we believed so much in a family curse, we made it real.
あれ? 続いてないじゃん。あ、もう崩れてんのか。
I don't know if I should even be writing this.
あれは象か。
Maybe it'd be better if all this just died with me.
着いた。
But I thought you should know about your family.
Mm-hmm.
And the history you're a part of.
Eh? どうすんの？こっちか。
Though to be honest, I feel as lost as you probably do right now. I think the people in these stories believed them, for what that's worth.
Okay.
And when you look at the house, that history of imagination and stubbornness and madness, any of it seems possible. I think we've been surrounded by death for so long, we've just gotten used to it. What kind of family finishes building a cemetery before starting the house?
わ、いっぱいある。
It's embarrassing for me to admit this, but the pet cemetery made me more uncomfortable than the human one. 3 of the gerbils are mine, and 2 had been my fault.
このちっちゃいのがペットか。ゾーイ、ココ、チャーリー、デイジー、ルーシー。あ、これは犬？で、こっちがスナネズミってこと？チャッピー、バッピー、ダーピー、ダーピージュニア。はは。あ、ウサギですよ、猫ですよってのがあるんだ。カエル。これは？これ鳥かな？フクロウ？そういうこと？そういうこと？
Sven built the house, but it was Edie who designed the cemetery.
バーバラ、ウォルター、エディ。なんでエディだけカッコつきなんだ？スベン、カルビン、モーリー。みんななんかそれのモチーフ系が墓標になってるね。
I'm sure Odin's monument had been Edie's idea.
オーディン
My
の
mom was
記
always
念
trying
碑。
to move on, but for Edie, the past never went away.
へー。
She could see it poking out of the water at low tide.
お、見れる。
Edie said she dreamed about the old house every night.
あれが古い家。はいはいはい。波に飲まれたやつね。船に乗っけてきて。ここ以外は見れないね。戻りますか？
Edie's side was always easier for me to understand. But the older I get, the more I can see where my mom was coming from.
サム・フィンチ、
Her dad
ガ
had
ス・フ
been pretty
ィン
strict,
チ、
but it wasn't enough to save her
Gregory.
brothers. She was just trying to do better.
はあ。 なるほど。グレゴリー・フィンチ。
She lost 2 of her brothers, just like I did. I get why she tried so hard to protect us.
レヴィス、サンジェイ・カマー、ミルトン・フィンチ。
We never found Milton's body, so my mom insisted we were putting up a
失踪してるから
monument, not
ね。
a tombstone.
記念碑。
There's so many things I wish I could ask my mom now. Part of me thinks this is what she wanted all along. For me to come back someday and find everything out for myself. But looking back on it now, if she told me there was going to be so much climbing, I never would have come when I was 22 weeks pregnant.
危ない危ない。気をつけて。どっからでも入れるやん。
I never met Grandpa Sam, but I think he and my mom had a lot in common.
一応巣箱なのかなこれは。
They were both pretty intense.
Okay.
Sam spent his life shooting photos, but Mom said he got nervous being in front of the camera. I guess we're all afraid of something.
おお。自分で自分は撮ったやつ。
Dawn, I promise, you'll never forget this weekend.
Yes, sir.
These memories are going to last a lifetime. Perfect.
It's gonna rain the whole weekend, isn't it?
何を撮るべき？おお。
I will never forget this weekend, Dad.
That's the spirit.
こっち向いて。向かない？
Please just take the damn picture.
Hey, language. Smile, Dawn. Okay, got it.
I'm gonna take some pictures, okay?
Just be careful. That camera's older than you are.
どこにいんだ？こっちか。
Definitely should not have drunk all that coffee.
You're right, Dad. It's starting to clear up. Still freezing, though.
Hey!
That's a keeper.
I'm just saying, I'm not always gonna be here, Dawn. You'll need to remember this stuff, if you want to survive.
I'll be fine, Dad.
You know who else thought he was gonna be fine?
Some guy who died.
Dawn,
どこにいん
I'm
だ？
being serious.
I know, Dad. You're always serious. Doesn't being out here make you want to chill out?
Well, to tell you the truth, I haven't been out here in 20 years. Dawn, don't you think you could find something more interesting to photograph?
え？違うの？
Last time I was with my brother Calvin. Man, that was a great trip. Your grandpa Sven taught us how to fish, how to build a fire. We found an old logging trail. There were deer everywhere. I bet if I could remember where that trail was, we'd spot a buck for you in no time.
おじか？
Give me a minute to check the map.
これじゃないのか。違う。何撮ったらいいの？これじゃない。違う。
You don't need to waste any more film on me, kiddo.
何を撮ったらいいんだ？むずいぞ。何を撮ったらいいのかがさっぱりわかんない。違うんかい。これか？あ、いたいたいたいたいた。
Good eyes, Don.
もう一回顔上げて。
Before you take the shot, let me get a picture of you.
Dad, I...
Just breathe. Turn off your imagination. Focus on your target. Let me get behind you.
Do I have to do this?
Dawn, you don't have to do anything. But if you want to survive,
Okay.
be strong. Great shot, Dawn!
いいとこ撮れたね。
I'm proud of you, Dawn. Always remember that, okay?
泣いてるわ。
Sorry, Dawn. Just gotta reset the timer.
あ、そういうこと。
Dad, it's twitching. I think
That's
it's
totally
still...
normal, Dawn. Just focus on the camera. Try not to think about...
Dad!
おー。マジか。予想外です。
Of all these stories, that's the one I wish most that my mom had told me.
はあ。
Instead of hiding from death, Sam seemed to go out of his way to meet it.
何あれ？子供の生まれた時のかな？へえ。 Okay.
After Sam died, my mom and Edie got really close. They'd both lost a lot.
Haha. Gregory.
Dear Kay, do you remember the way Gregory used to laugh when he thought he was alone? Like something funny was happening, but only he could see it. I think he saw things the rest of us
おお、
don't.
赤ん坊になったわ。うわ、カエルになった。潜れる。
Gregory, it's time to. Hold on,
Oh.
sweetie. Hello? Sam, I told you I don't want to talk right now.
I
おう、
wonder what he saw. What his world was like.
OK。
He reminded me so much of Calvin,
はい。
lost in his imagination.
おお。はい。おお、なんかトロフィー取れたわ。ついてくる。はいはい。え？おお。はい。
I know how silly it sounds.
はい。
But I worried about a baby being too happy.
はい。
But I could feel him slipping away.
Sorry about that, Gregory.
おうおう。
I know you did everything you could. Maybe if I hadn't called that night.
Damn it.
電話してなかったら
I hear this.
I wish you could have told us.
あー、なんでプレイヤー自らにやらせるんだよ。
Hey, there's so much I don't understand
わ
about Gregory.
ー。上来てえけど。 あ、そこか。
But I know know what happened wasn't your fault.
Hey.
I'm sure he's happy.
Oi, oi.
And he'd want you to be happy too. Good luck, Kay. Love, Sam.
なるほどね。プレイヤーにやらせなくてもいいだろうよ。これか。
I can't imagine my mom ever writing poetry, and yet.
モヒカンじゃん。
A poem for Gus, who always said the wedding was a bad idea. Our father never hit us kids, at least not very hard, before the day my brother said with teenage disregard that he'd be dead before he'd see a wedding in our yard.
おお。ほほほほ。
My father made him come, of course, but Gus stood far apart, just flew his kite and bottled up the storm inside his heart.
はい。こっちに読むことよりもこっちに集中しちゃうわ。
We don't need a stepmom, were the words that I know.
ママ母はいらない。わあ、ここは難しいよ。
When the time for photos came, Dad ordered him to come here. But Gus declined, and as a sign held up his middle finger.
はいはい。
The wind picked up, and panicked geese appeared and quickly went. But all the humans did that day was go inside the tent.
テントに入ることだけ。風が強まってね。雷かな。タコに落ちるっていう。おう。
The rain came down in buckets then, but no one seemed afraid that nature might destroy the tent our dad had crudely made.
ああ。
The thunder sounded much too close and full of angry power.
雷の音が大きすぎて、ああ、音楽はもっと大きくというだけ。あ、結構いろいろついても大丈夫だ。ああ、そういう感じ。
I wish that I could truly say I thought about you on that day.
お
Out there on the
ー、
beach alone.
クラゲみたいになっ
The wind,
た。
the sea and foam.
おう。
But I didn't. Until we found you.
She never talked about him, but Mom told me once if I was a boy, they were going to name me Gus.
なんだろう、不思議な感じで亡くなってるのと、明らかにこう、まあそれは死ぬよねっていう感じで死んでるのとあるね。
My mom moved up to the loft after her brothers died. At the time, it was as far away as she could get.
Okay.
Religion was another thing my mom never talked about, but I think it helped her a lot after her dad died.
聖書ね。
She spent a summer building houses in Calcutta, where she met my dad, Sanjay.
なるほど。
My mom moved to India a week after graduation and got a job teaching English. Louis was born a year later.
おお、結構高い
When
と
my
こま
dad
で来た
died,
ね。
I don't think mom knew where else to go. I'm sure Edie was happy to have her back. And to see kids in the house again.
へえ。ミント、タイム、セージ、バジル。ああ。
The house had to get a little bigger, but Edie was used to that.
Okay.
And for a while, things were good. Almost normal.
子供用の教室、学校にいちいち行けなかったってことか、こっからは。そういうこと？
But it didn't last.
サイエンティフィックメソッド。ああ。
The beginning of the end was Milton's 10th birthday, when Edie gave him a castle.
ミルトンね。
After Milton disappeared, the only thing he left behind was a room full of paintings.
おー、すごいじゃん。下は絵の具がぶちまかれてるけど。お、入れる？へえ。おー。
Milton Finch in The Magic
魔
Paintbrush.
法の絵札。おー、パラパラ漫画。おー、途中までだ。
I was 4 when
う
Milton
ん、それでいいの？うーん。
Mom spent months searching for my brother. Then she sealed the doors. Whatever Milton had found in the house, Mom didn't want it getting out.
家で何かを見つけて消えた。それをお母さんは封印した。こっちかな。
Mom definitely blamed Edie, but I think Louis blamed himself. After he graduated, he just spent more and more time in his room. Until Mom got him a job at the cannery.
おー。すごいね。コックピットみたいな。わあ、
Louis's room smelled
C 社もあるし。
very familiar. That part of him lived on.
まあ普通に大麻も吸ってたんだろうね。あ、出ない出ない出ない。出ないです。
Louis and I spent a lot of time playing games together, but he was surprisingly bad at them. He died a lot.
高校は卒業してんだ。ん？はあ。バランスボールとかまであるよ。結構最近だね。
Dear Mrs. Finch, as Lewis's psychiatrist, I can understand your desire for an explanation. As I see it, the trouble began in January, shortly after we convinced your son to seek treatment for substance abuse. Newly sober, I believe Lewis first noticed the monotony of his daily life.
Hey.
He kept working at the cannery.
Hey.
But he withdrew part of himself.
Hey.
In our sessions, I saw the same behavior.
Hey.
His mind began to...
Hey. Hey. 彼の意識はよく。
wander.
へえ。
I asked him to describe it. He said he started
怖いな
small,
手が。
imagining a labyrinth.
はい。
He'd feel his way about.
はい。
Then something moved. Bats
コウモリ。
and toads.
ヒキガエル。
And things that have not names.
Uh-huh.
He knew it was all in his head.
やっておかないと見えなくなってくんだ。魚が溜まって。
But he took it very seriously. I had hoped he'd find himself. But he found something more.
見つけてしまった。
I worried about him then. Daydreaming at the cannery. I spoke with his boss. But he said Lewis had become a model employee. Methodical, tireless, focused.
Wait.
Like a whole new Lewis. So I let him go on. I even encouraged him.
Okay.
It seemed very promising at first. He told me he'd made a new friend.
Okay.
On the edge of a city he named Lewis Topia.
Oh.
He built the city up slowly, brick by brick. Then he made musicians. And songs for them to play. He talked about starting a band.
Oh.
And he was always humming something. Every day his imagination grew stronger.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
He no longer spoke at the cannery. But his chopping was as reliable as ever. Then one day it struck him that all the cheering crowds, even the stones under his feet, were all in his imagination. So he could do whatever he wished. He held an election for mayor.
市長選挙
And he won.
当選
They begged him to stay, but his mind was already wandering. It became a game for him. He'd conquer a city, then immediately push on. New Louisville. St. Louis. He started drifting away from our reality.
Okay.
Minneapolis. Until one day he forgot to go home from the cannery. Even as his mother pleaded with him, part of Lewis kept sailing on.
Oh, whoa, whoa.
In Lewisburg, he heard rumors of a
威厳のある女王
handsome queen.
Hey. これはなんか意味あんのかな
The queen was on her own quest for
光り輝く虹を探している
radiant rainbows.
わお あれ倒すなっていうやつだ
He
ったの
followed
か
the sound of
な
her
銀のハープ
silver harp. His chase led him to a golden palace east of the sun and west of the moon.
Okay.
Even then, his logic remained sound. He knew the world was all in his imagination. But he was so proud of having created it.
Oh.
In his own eyes, he'd become something greater than a king.
Wow.
For someone who'd never known success in the real world, I think it was overwhelming. And then it struck him that the real Lewis was not the one chopping salmon, but the one climbing the steps of a golden palace. My imagination is as real as my body, he told me. It was hard to argue with him.
Oh. 現実と空想がね、境目なく。
He began to forget the world we know.
Whoa.
I think it pained him to remember Lewis, the cannery worker.
Eh? これは捨てるものじゃないんじゃない?
He began to despise the man with a royal contempt.
Oh, 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 oh.
I still thought I could save him. Even after he said he was being crowned king over all the lands of wonder.
うわ、眩しい。おほ
The
ん
palace would be packed with his companions.
ずーっとベルトコンベア。
Including the wise Calico who'd insisted on advising him.
三毛猫おお、モーリー。あれ、モーリー。
His queen waited, holding his crown.
Okay.
There was only one thing left to do. Bend down his head.
Oh my gosh. 見ちゃったよ。
I think you know. Mrs. Finch, your son was a kind man who will be missed by all of us who knew him.
Hmm. まあでも、役中っていうところだったら仕方ないか。そういうことにもなってしまうよね。すっかり夜。
On the way back from Lewis's funeral, my mom told me to start packing. She waited until the day before we left to tell Edie. I'm not sure if she wanted to make it easier or harder.
Oh.
I wish we'd stayed. But I understand why we left. My mom ended up leaving everything behind.
これは緩衝材ピンクのはOkay.
What happened that night had been coming for a long time. Maybe it should have come sooner.
あ、自分の部屋
But it had to end one way or another.
おー
All that's left now was to tell you about that last night. That whole last day, Edie just watched us pack and didn't say a word. Until supper, when she raised her glass and said,
"To our final night together, and all our final nights apart."
Grandma, you know what I said about alcohol. Some of your medications are very
Edith,
specific.
I left a present for you in the hallway. Why don't you go open it? The grown-ups have to argue now.
I'm sorry, you're right. We're all leaving tomorrow. Let's just enjoy our last...
I'm not leaving.
Edith, you're excused.
エディスか。イディスじゃなくて。
The power had been shut off that morning, but Edie always had plenty of candles. When my mom sealed the library, I don't think she knew about the other entrance. Or that Edie had a key to it.
Oh.
That thing you're afraid of isn't going to end when you leave the house. Edith has a right to know these stories.
My children are dead because of your stories. I think it's best if Edith and I leave tonight. We'll have the nursing home send a van for you in the morning. Okay?
History of the Finch. Eddie Finch.
Dear Edith, there's so many stories I wish I could tell you, but there's only time for one. This is about what happened on the night you were born. That night, the tide went way, way out.
Oh.
It was the first and last time I ever saw the old house aground.
あ、家に行けるんだ。
There'd been an earthquake out in the middle of the ocean. They called it the lowest tide in 1,000 years. God, it smelled awful. You know, I've seen that house every day of my life. But I never thought I'd go back to it. When the fog rolled in, I lost my way.
Uh-huh.
I got turned around.
振り向かされ。
For a while, I wandered.
Okay. 全く見えない。
seeing things.
おうおう。
Things I'd forgotten had ever existed. But when I saw them, they felt like old friends.
ほうほう。
That night, a lot of things came back to me. Or maybe I came back to them. Things I can't explain, but that I need you to try.
Hello.
Edith, what are you doing in here?
It's mine.
Edith!
Mom, you're gonna rip it. Let go.
おう。おい。お
I
う。
didn't scream, but Mom dragged me to the car. I never saw Great Grandma Edie again. The next morning, the van came to pick her up, but she was already gone. After that, we moved around a lot. We both tried to make the best of it. A few years went by. My mom didn't like to talk about it, but she started getting sick a lot. She got better for a while, and then she didn't. And then I was alone. The last Finch left alive. Until I found out about you. I'm still not sure what to tell you about all this. If we lived forever, maybe we'd have time to understand things. But as it is, I think the best we can do is try to open our eyes. And appreciate how strange and brief all of this is.
Whoa.
This journal was supposed to be for you. But now I hope you'll never see it. I just want to meet you and tell you all these stories myself. But I guess if you're reading this now,
ああ、エディスの
things didn't
子
work
供
out that
か。
way. This is where your story begins. I'm sorry I won't be there to see it. It's a lot to ask, but I don't want you to be sad that I'm gone. I want you to be amazed that any of us ever had a chance to be here at all. Good luck.
おお。へえ。おお。へえ。この物語を作った方は亡くなってるってこと？ なるほどね。まあ、そうね。途中まではなんか不思議なことと、妙に死因がはっきり分かってるというか、現実的なところがあるなっていうふうに思ってたんですけど、単純にあれだね。昔のことだと、割となんだろうな、伝わってくるものだからこその、もうちょっとぼかしとか、そういうことが加わったりするのと、あとは特にモリーみたいな、その動物に変わったりとかっていうのも、あれはもう本人たちのこの日記とか、そういうところから来るものだし、ルイスなんかも役中なんで、その頭の中のことっていうのもあったりするから、子供は空想だし、そういう幻覚に、触れてるというか、そういうものを普段から頭の中にある場合には、そして昔のこと、人づて人づてで来るものに関しては、割と不思議な感じがあって、最近のことね、基本は最近のことっていうのはより現実的にその死因とかそういうものが伝えられてるという感じですね。なかなか面白かったな。最後ね、しかもエディスの子供っていうところもね、っていう感じだったし、なかなかこのフィンチ家っていうものにそういう不幸が回るっていうところはね、もちろんありましたけども、その途中でも言ってたけど、なんかそういうものをこの一族が信じ込んでそっちに寄せて解釈したりとかっていうのももちろんあるだろうし、日本でいう言霊みたいなねところで、そういうものを信じたり口に出したりとかしてることによって、だんだんとそういうところに引きずられていくというか、引きつけられていくというか、そういう感じなのかなっていうふうに思いました。なかなかね、良かったです。アドベンチャーゲームなので、そのゲーム性みたいなところはね、そこまで強くないんですけども、表現だったり、この何かふわっと不思議なことが起きてますよみたいなこの雰囲気作りとか、そういったものはね、なかなかいいなっていう感じがしました。できればね、一番最初の捜査官だけでも教えてほしかったけど、あえて入れてないんでしょうね。これはね、制作陣のこだわりというか。 特別ボタンをこう説明されてるわけじゃなくて、こうコントローラーを握りながらどれを押したらどうなるのかっていうのを探り探りやらせるっていう感じだったんで、人によってはね、もう最初だけでも説明してよっていうふうに思う人もいるでしょうし、制作陣のこだわりとしてね、やりながらこう覚えていっていくっていうその過程からしてね、没入感にだんだんとこれがこうすり替わっていくというか、そういうところを狙ったりとかっていうのもあると思うので、でもおおむねなかなか良かったなっていうふうには思いました。もうサクッとできるもので、もちろんね、トロフィーコンプとかそういうのもあったりはするので、周回してね、そこを達成するっていう遊び方もありますけども、今回でね、こちらはね、終わりという風にしたいと思います。はい。気が向いたら動画外でトロフィーコンプぐらいはするかもしれませんが、ということで、また別のね、タイトルお付き合いいただければと思います。また見てな。バイバイ。